Well, good evening again, ladies. I may have had a false start. I thought that I hit record a couple minutes ago, and I didn't hit record, or at least so I thought. But anyhow, I'm back again. So I wanted to jump in because I had a really good conversation with someone in the LinkedIn challenge earlier today who we have the community, it's already growing and it's booming, and there's always women these conversations and getting pumped up for the challenge that starts in 8 days. This one woman was talking to me like, hey, I want to do what you do, right? I want to be landing the communities that you land with Forbes, Google, Entrepreneur Magazine, you name it. But I'm unemployed right now. I'm one of those 3 points. I feel like I'm really far away from that. So is this like, can you help me? I was like, whoa. I mean, first of all, thank you. That's really fun. But and that I've been in those exact shoes. And it's not a matter of like the time that it takes. It's the switch that you have to make in your mind. And literally that's the entire secret. And really the whole point of the challenge, her LinkedIn challenge, is to help you make that switch between, okay, I'm just settling for my career, to landing those dream opportunities, like getting into Forbes, Entrepreneur, whatever your fancy is, a dream opportunity, wherever you are, whether you're unemployed or you are working but you're just not satisfied with your career, to landing those dream opportunities, whatever that might mean for you. So it might be landing it might be becoming a contributor for Entrepreneur Magazine, it might be a job with Google, it might be doubling your salary. Whatever it might be for you is going to be different. But the reality is that I'm going to show you how to raise your game. And that is something that I want you to know, first and foremost, that I've been there. I completely understand where you're coming from. You see, I was unemployed at one point. In fact, I don't know if you recall where you were during the Great Recession, but I found myself in Louisville, Kentucky. My husband was deployed to Iraq doing a really dangerous job in which I was on a daily basis anxious to hear the phone ring or the doorbell, someone knocking at the door. I would just get this like pit sense in my thinking they're coming to tell me that he's not coming back, which at this point quite a real possibility. And to got laid off, and the Great Recession, there really was no, it wasn't like right now where we have half the economy completely stopped, but the other half is completely. So it was a really crummy time. I found myself claiming unemployment, which really sucked. And I remember I applied to 1,231 jobs. And some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but I applied to 1,231 jobs. And I even applied to McDonald's and got rejected. And from all of those applications, I only got 5 callbacks and 0. So believe me that I know exactly how it must feel if you're either on the verge or having employment, like frickin', it's humbling. And I felt completely humiliated the last time that I went to claim an unemployment check. 1,231 jobs. Walk up to the clerk, and I'd been there for 2 up at 5:30 because they opened at 7:30. And I had jobs that I'd applied for that week, and the McDonald's job was one of them. And after 2 hours, it's my turn. I wasn't even first in line, but it was my turn. And I remember going up to the clerk and showing him the list of jobs that I'd applied for that week, my resume. And he looks at both, and he's like, looking at my resume, and he looks up at me and goes, boy, I guess that expensive East Coast education did it. And I just, like, that was rock bottom. Let alone that I'd been laid off earlier, but the fact that, like, like, I don't know, he must have just been having a really bad day. But you don't say that to someone who's claiming unemployment. Like, who's, I don't know. It was just such a crummy feeling, such a rock bottom feeling to feel that. And oh, I went to Tufts University, by the way, which is a good school, right? But even then, like, I wasn't getting traction. I wasn't getting any jobs. And I remember I didn't even make it out of the building. I started just bawling and collapsed to the floor, just bawling, a visceral cry, like, why, like, all I want to do is just contribute to society, work, and just be, like, I have something to give. I just want to give it to the workforce. Like, why is no one allowing me to give to the workforce, to be like a working, like, contributor? It was just a clear message that the workforce did not want me. And it was just such a crummy feeling. But in that moment, in that sense of like just complete abject rejection, I also had a moment of absolute clarity, which became my epiphany. And that epiphany was, no, it's not that you've been rejected 1,231 times. It's just that you've found 1,231 ways that don't work. You haven't cracked the code yet. You see, it's a matter of the system not working, and you haven't quite figured out. And literally, this is what I did after going through that entire process and realizing, like, man, this situation, like, how do I reshift my mind? Because, like, when you're at rock bottom, and I'm sure you've been there at different points in your life, but, like, you realize, wow, something's got to give, something's got to change. And that's when you usually have those moments of huge clarity. So I don't know if you find yourself at that point, you've been there or you're close to it, but there's these moments of clarity that come when you hit rock bottom, when you're at your worst, that you need to, because they hold the sincere greatness that can come from your experiences. And what I realized at that moment was, again, that this was broken. And it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was that I hadn't figured out how to crack the code. And the moment that happened, I was able to land subsequent after subsequent dream job. My next job after that was at the Inter-American Development Bank, which is the equivalent of the World Bank in Washington, D.C., but for Latin America, managing projects and budgets all over Latin America, like from completely unemployed, being rejected from McDonald's to landing a very, like, that's a dream job that people at the top of their career in my industry at this point in time, like Latin American economics, wanted to achieve. And then that, I was like, I'm really getting into compensation and setting salaries and market pricing and all that stuff. So I went on a job at an Ivy League institution as a senior analyst, and then got promoted to manager. And all this, again, from someone who was rejected by my, it's like, it's crazy. But it didn't have to do with my qualifications per se. Like, there are some basics that you need if you're going for medicine. Like, if you want to be a doctor, you need a medical degree. If you want to be the certificates. But beyond that, it really has nothing to do with your resume, your job application, and the job description. It really has to do with how you position yourself, how you network your way out the system so you can move up the ranks. And I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more tomorrow. But I just wanted to kind of get you into thinking that, you can do this too. It's just that you need to reframe where you're coming from, because you've probably not done yourself the justice of realizing that you are not your resume. Your resume doesn't account for even a fraction of what you can bring to the table. How you can position yourself and your dream opportunities. So stay tomorrow. I'm going to do a live in which I'm going to share more of these stories on how you can do the exact same thing, like go from unemployed to expert in your field. I'm going to share more details on that. But in the meantime, if you have not signed up, we are out of time, ladies. Herchallenge.com. It's insane, the price point at which it is, and the value that you're going to get out of it is ridiculous. And not in terms of like money value that you're going to get out there. That's paying dividends for years to come. But what you're going to be doing for your career is, again, raising your standard, because I'm going to teach you exactly how from bottom of the barrel to being the top in your industry. I'm going to take you step by step how I've done it myself, how I land myself on Forbes or Entrepreneur or what have you. Like I can't even name how many hundreds of publications I've landed myself on. I'm going to show you exactly how I do that and how I've helped with no, like we're all the same here. Like there's no special secret or special qualification or pedigree. But I'm going to show you how I've taught their dream jobs, how to double their salary to land up to $500,000. It's literally about the strategy and how you position yourself and how you influence behavior. So, tuned, because I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. With that, I hope you have a great evening.